Welcome to the Home Downsizing Show. My name is Ben Sochek, your host and the owner and founder of Home Downsizing Solutions. With the Home Downsizing Show, I want to provide you the information and resources to make the downsizing of your house stress and hassle-free. So sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you for joining us. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Home Downsizing Show podcast. This is Ben Sochek, the owner and founder of Home Downsizing Solutions. And today, I would like to share a little information that's probably not on the home downsizing topic, but something that I'd like to share with you. And recently, I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to go to the Czech Republic with my brother and nephew to look for areas where our ancestors originally came from. In my situation, my family has been in South Central Nebraska for over 100 years, and I'm the fourth generation to be on land that my great-grandfather had purchased back in 1900. And so we wanted to go back to see where they came from and to see if we could find any additional information about the family and our ancestors. And we were very fortunate that we were able to find a guide, a local Czech guide that was actually an attorney and that specialized in genealogy. And so we were very fortunate to have someone like that found additional information about our family that we didn't, that sources in the U.S. here were not able to find. So it was a great trip and a great experience. It's incredible to think that, of course, when I was, in my 20s or 30s or not very long ago, a person, I didn't really give much thought about where we came from, the country we came from, but it was really informative to me, is very interesting to me, and very eye-opening to me. Our ancestors went through what they escaped to come to this country, and in a previous episode, I probably mentioned how fortunate I think people are in the United States, and it just gave this is really another reassuring, or not really a reassuring, but a wake up of how lucky people are in this country, to not having gone through what they've lived through, even very recently, in the last 100 years. Again, when I was in my early 20s, I really didn't think about things that I've thought about in the last 5 or 10 years, or especially very recently, while being able to visit the Czech Republic and a part of Germany, where we were able to find relatives that are still living, that are there. And we were able to, our main focus was, we spent several days in Prague, but we also went to areas where our ancestors came from, which was to the southeast of Prague by Brno, Czech Republic, and also to the southeast of Prague by Hiskov, and it was just very interesting. People in the United States think that buildings that are 100 years old are just incredible to be that old. And of course, in areas like this, there are buildings that are hundreds of years old. Beautiful buildings, beautiful architecture, and how well things must be built to withstand hundreds of years of being there. And the the one thing that I realized, or that I learned about, that was very interesting to me, that I guess in the past, especially when I was in high school growing up, I really didn't have much of an interest in history. And as lately, over the last few years, my son has actually increased my interest in history, especially World War II. And so this trip was very interesting to kind of fit into that, or to expand on that information. Not knowing that, and I may not get all of these items exactly correct, so bear with me here, but basically the 400 years before 1918, what's now the Czech Republic, was Czechoslovakia, was part of the Austrian Empire, so they were ruled by others for that amount of time. In 1918, they finally got their independence until 1938, or 39, when Hitler came along and said, either give us control of the land, of the country, or we're just going to take it. And that, so at the time, the president or leader of Czechoslovakia signed the agreement that they would cede control of the land to Hitler. And over the next several years, that may have been a good thing for them. It certainly didn't seem like a good thing, I'm sure, at the time, but because of that, Prague was spared from bombing during World War II, and that's why there are still a lot. Most of the city is still there, and the old buildings are standing because they were spared during World War II from any bombing, from being attacked by the Germans. And so that was, so of course they were controlled then again by Hitler until the end of World War II, and then Russia controlled them. The communists controlled them until 1989, which is just incredibly recent, like other countries in the European Eastern Bloc. Again, I might not get all these details exactly right, but Czechoslovakia was controlled by communists until 89, when they regained their independence. And so it's only been, and then a few years later, Slovakia separated from what's now the Czech Republic, to be its own country. So now you have, just a very recent amount of time ago, all of this happened, that they've been their own country again. And so it's just incredible to me, the people in the United States, I just don't think appreciate what we have here, being in a free country to do what you want to do, to achieve what you want to achieve, to pursue your dreams, to pursue what you want to do with a career and with your family. It's only been a few decades for them that they've been able to do that again. So, and speaking to relatives that are now older, that have lived through the communist period, and now finally through being able to have the freedom to do what they want to do in a free country, it really was fascinating to me and very interesting, and given me a new appreciation, or an additional appreciation for what we have here in this country, which is very frustrating to me to see people that don't think this country, the United States, is a good place, or that it has a lot of problems. So it was very interesting to me to go to the Czech Republic, which Nebraska, the state that I live in, is 2.5 times the size of the Czech Republic. And so it gives you a sense of their size, and how when a larger country comes along and tells them to do something, they don't have a whole lot of options, depending on who their friends are. So Uh, Again, it was just a very interesting time. It was a very interesting trip to see all of the history, and obviously I didn't see all the history. A person could spend a lot more time there than the week that I and my family, that I and my brother and nephew did. But it was a great eye-opening experience to see the great architecture, to see the buildings, to see the history of where our ancestors came from, to actually see the houses that our great grandfather and his father before him grew up in. And so it was just a very interesting time to be able to do that, to take that trip and to see, to experience the area. So again, this has been kind of a different podcast for me, but just wanted to share with you where I was a few weeks ago, and hopefully you will have the opportunity as well. I would encourage anyone to find out whether, to trace back their ancestors and to see where they came from, and to really see some of that history of what they endured before getting to the United States, and what they had to go through to do that. So again, this is Ben Sochek with the Home Downsizing Show. If you have an interest in or are looking for information on selling your house and downsizing, that's of course what our company specializes in. You can go to homedownsizing.com or call our office 855-291-5005. And if you'd like a free copy of my book, Home Downsizing Secrets, just go to, again, homedownsizing.com to get your free copy there, or call our office 855-291-5005. And I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. If you have any ideas for additional topics to talk about, please let us know. Otherwise, thank you for listening today, and have a great week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home Downsizing Show. For additional information and resources on home downsizing, just go to homedownsizingblueprint.com. That's homedownsizingblueprint.com. Or if you're ready to sell your house and downsize, just go to homedownsizing-solutions.com. That's homedownsizing-solutions.com. And if you have ideas to improve our show, or topics that you'd like us to cover, or have any questions that we can answer, just call our office toll free 855-291-5005. That's 855-291-5005. Thank you.